Welcome back to the Grounded Brand Podcast. I'm Brandon. Got my buddies Drew and Colton here with us again this morning. Guys, we're thankful that y'all made it back for episode 2. I don't know why you made it through 1, but you're back to number 2, and we're thankful that you're here. And we got a cool episode coming to you today. We got Drew with us, and he's going to kind of give us some history and some background on Grounded and what inspired him to start the company, some challenges that he's faced, some achievements that he's made through the process.
Yep.
And without further ado, Drew, we'll just get into it, man. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Glad to be
man.
here.
Good to see you, man. Colton, you doing all right this morning?
I'm doing good, man.
Good. Did y'all have a good New Year's?
Yeah, sure did. You know what? We stayed up until about 9 o'clock and went to bed after that because, you know, when you got a young kid,
Yeah, it's not worth staying up to.
it's not.
No, it's not. And not only that, we knew that we had to get here early because we got baby duties to do when we
That's
get back,
true.
right?
That's true. Yeah.
So.
Got a hard cutoff today.
That's right, man.
Yep.
So let's jump right into it. Drew, what inspired you to start Grounded, man?
Yeah, so I'll kind of start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, the very beginning. So from a young age, killed my first turkey when I was 7, and that's when my passion for the sport of turkey hunting really took off at that point. And a couple years later, you know, was able to harvest a couple more turkeys, and then just consumed me after that.
Right.
Around the age of 15, 16, 17 years old, I'm not really sure why, but I became just very intrigued with really turkey vests and the layout of them, gear in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in those days, we didn't have the internet,
No.
you know, so I
Far
had to
from
wait for the Cabela's magazine to come in.
That's
Yeah.
right.
To look at everything, you know, that was coming out for the year. And just always really loved that and thought it would be extremely neat to design my own vest.
Yeah,
Never thought I would really do it. I just thought that would be something cool to do.
absolutely.
So, graduate high school, go to Mississippi State, got a degree in forestry and wildlife, went to work in that field for a couple years, and then managing properties and stuff like that. I had some burnout. I had some things happen. I just really wasn't enjoying my day-to-day job,
Right.
and I couldn't put my finger on why. I mean, I had every reason to enjoy it. It was what I got my degree in. I liked the work. But I just wasn't happy on the inside. And it's funny how God really places things in our lives, for his will to eventually come out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what this was. I'm at work one day. I get a call from one of the guys that I worked with, a couple years younger than me. He was actually on his honeymoon. And I'm like, why is he calling me on his
that's
honeymoon?
odd.
Like,
Yeah.
Y'all are really good
know?
friends, huh?
Yeah.
And I answer the phone, and he's just really upset. And his dad had a heart attack and unexpectedly passed away.
That's terrible.
Man, that's all.
And, it just, that combination along with me just feeling unhappy on the inside. And then also we were in a legacy series at our church about, hey, like, what are you leaving for the people after you? What are you leaving for your kids and your grandkids and things like that? It all made me really start questioning what I was doing and,
Right.
and was I fulfilling the purpose that God had for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
So Brittany and I started talking about, hey, like, what are some other options, and what could we start praying about? And so that's what we did. We just started praying. Hey, where would you have us? Where would you have Drew? And things like that. And then all of a sudden it came back to me like, well, what about a turkey vest? Like, I could design a turkey vest.
Right.
and
Yeah.
Come out with it. At that point in time, I was really into waterfowl hunting and enjoyed a lot of the higher end gear. And I'm like, I'm a passionate turkey hunter as well, but nobody makes high quality, well thought out gear for a turkey hunter. And so I'm like, well, maybe let's fill that niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sector. And so started, researching and thinking about names of a company, and really felt like that's where I was being led to. So come up with the name. I wanted something that was going to be extremely intentional as far as representing a hunting company, but more important than that, representing my foundation in Christ as well.
That's cool.
And something that could possibly open the door for a deeper, life-changing conversation.
Yeah.
And hey, how did you come up with the name Grounded?
Right.
Oh, well, it's because I'm grounded in my faith.
Yeah.
And you also shoot a turkey from the ground.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
So when you first told me what the name was, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I was like, man, how awesome is that name? Like, it's so fitting, grounded in faith. You're sitting on the base of a tree on the ground
Yep.
to kill a turkey. And I was like, man, that's awesome. That's definitely a name that God laid on your heart, right? So can you tell us about how the name came about?
Yeah. So had the name, come up with it. Brittany loved it. Another buddy loved it. I had texted it to him. And so I'm like, all right, this is it. You know,
Yeah.
like, let's go. Let's go, baby. Off to the races now. And look up the domain name. The domain is available. And so, man, I just, at that point in time, I procrastinated
Yeah.
doing it.
We all have a tendency
I
to do
probably
that.
was a little bit nervous, a little bit scared, fearful,
Right.
you know, and not that confident in myself at that time. And just let fear honestly get the best of me and procrastinated. And a couple weeks go by and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I need to go buy that domain. I need to stop
Yeah.
sitting on this and
Make
let's,
it happen.
let's act.
Yep.
Right.
So I go to GoDaddy and I'm like, wait, what was the name that I came up with? And I can't remember.
Right.
Like literally blanked out.
Yep.
Can't remember. And I'm like, I'll remember at some point today, no big deal.
Right.
Go home, remember like where I'm at on the road, like thinking like, gosh darn it, why can't I think of this name? And never could think about it. A couple of days goes by, still can't remember the name. Ask Brittany, she's like, I don't know, I don't remember. She don't remember anything. And
She probably forgot y'all even had the conversation.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, she's like, you tell me so many things, I just forgot.
Yeah. And so I'm like, let's go back to my text messages.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm a person like I never delete text messages from my phone like ever.
Right.
I'm like going back. Can't find the text message anywhere. Like anywhere. And I go through my text with this dude like 5 different times. I cannot find it.
Yeah.
And it's not been like that long, like maybe 2 months,
Oh, wow.
you know, like, and I'm
It should
just
be
like,
there.
It should be there.
Yeah.
I tell Brittany, I'm like, I can't come up with this name. And she's like, maybe it's just not God's timing.
Yeah.
Did you think about that? And I'm like, you're exactly right. It's probably not. So let it sit. And it didn't just sit there. It sat there for almost a full year.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a while.
Yeah.
And I had honestly just pretty much completely forgot about all of it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. During that year, do you remember any times during that you were trying to remember it, or it just kind of escaped you? You forgot about the whole thing, or?
Yeah, so like the first couple of months, because the first couple of months were during turkey season, it made me like begin to think about
Yeah.
it more and things like that. After turkey season was over, it kind of, left my mind, left my thought process. Fast forward to that next December, we're back in that legacy series at church again. And, man, it's just like kind of, I'm not really going to say on my heart, but it was a thought like, oh, okay, like maybe I could, remember.
Yeah.
And our church puts on at that time what used to be called a Maxwell Live event where John Maxwell comes to town and he speaks on leadership for us. And really wanted to go. Had never been to that event before. And again, just a lot of fear inside of me. I didn't really know anybody
Yeah.
that was going to be going. And so I didn't want to go. I didn't feel in place, felt
Mm-hmm.
like an outcast from everybody there just because I'm not in the business realm.
Right.
Yeah.
And that too, it was for people, that were business leaders.
Right.
And ended up fighting through that fear. I go. It turns out I did know a bunch of people there.
Yeah.
Was able to sit with those guys, and so that was cool. But it's like 20 minutes into Maxwell's first little time frame talk that morning, and it's just like all of a sudden God just like plastered it right on my forehead.
Yeah.
The name
Yeah.
grounded.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I'm like, okay, like so I got my notebook open, so I like write it down in pen, not in pencil.
Yeah.
So it can't be erased. Or write it on my hat, text it to Brittany like real fast, like I'm ready to go to the tattoo parlor down the street and let's get this thing tattooed
That's
on my
right.
arm.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And it was just like boom at that point in time.
Yeah.
He said, go.
Yeah.
This is it.
And just the reassurance of it started at that first legacy conference where he planted that seed in your heart.
Yeah.
And even though it took a whole year for it to come back, but for it to come back in that same
Yeah.
area,
Mm-hmm.
that's just reassurance of how it happened, right?
Definitely.
So that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it-
that's kind of, a little bit about the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny because like sometimes we have these things happen in life where like we think it's such a good idea, like we need to jump on it right away, and it really is like a testament to you to like be patient and just realize like, hey, this could have who knows where it would have been if you would have started it right then and there
Yeah.
when you logged on, or if you didn't procrastinate and you would have gotten it right then and there, like could be a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's good you had that year to kind of, you know, develop this story.
And then
It's
to be
awesome.
able to push through that fear that you had to go to
Yeah.
the conference, you know, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
There may be something that they're facing possibly that that fear's got a hold on them, you know, but just seeing that you were able to push through that and see where the company is right now, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you go to the tattoo parlor, you get it, you know, tattooed on you. No, I'm just kidding. But were there any like specific challenges? So like you bought the domain and everything like that. Now, I mean, where do you go from there? Because I'm sure like, you know, it's not like you had a turkey vest ready to go at that point. So what kind of challenges did you face being able to go from ground zero all the way up to, you know, Impact 1.0?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I didn't have anybody to mentor me in this industry or field. I didn't know anybody that was in it.
Yeah.
And so that made it tough. You know, it's kind of like anything that you don't know how to do. You either go to YouTube or Google.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They do a good job.
And I bet no one on YouTube is like, hey, here's how you make a turkey vest.
No. And I mean, I understand like now having, you know, done it and looking back, it's extremely hard. And so you don't want to just give, I'm not going to call them trade secrets, but you don't just want to give that learning process away
Right.
because it is extremely hard and extremely tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just kind of started with Google. I got connected with a company that had actually designed some ski apparel and talked to them about it. It was a project that they were kind of interested in. So they helped me with the design process. I already had a design for a vest in my mind that I felt like would meet a lot of the needs on the market. Eventually, before getting to the 1.0, that design changed somewhat. But they kind of walked me through that process. Hey, you're going to design it. And then after design, you find a factory. And then after you find a factory, you sample. After sampling, you go to production.
Got it.
So,
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's probably, you know, really intimidating to try and, you know, there's all these companies that make a turkey vest, but it's like, how do you put your stamp on something, you know, that like doesn't exist, like a high-end turkey vest and things like that.
and so like one other thing that I'll say is it's not for the faint of heart. So from getting the name and the domain, so basically I'm calling that day one, to launching the 1.0 vest available for pre-orders, it was a 4-year process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight. Now, it could have been sped up. That process could have been sped up had I known what I was doing. But at the end of the day, I would say even if you knew what you were doing going into this field, even if you had relationships with manufacturers and things like that, you're still looking bare bones 2 years to come out with a new product.
Yeah, well, not only that too, but there was external factors as well that like played a part in it. So like everyone knows what happened in 2020, COVID. I mean, that delayed the process leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So can you tell us like, you know, what were some of those challenges like when you're trying to launch, you know, a brand new business, you put a ton of time and effort and money into this thing, like, you know, how are you feeling in that moment?
Yeah, so one thing that Grounded really has going for them is that we're strictly direct to consumer.
Yep.
So we're not relying on these retail stores to get our product out there in front of people. So that's an advantage that we had during COVID because everybody had to shop online.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, so from that standpoint, we were good. But from the standpoint of getting product here, that's where it really hurt us.
Right.
That was the biggest delay in everything because that first January we pre-sold 200 units, and then after that, the rest of production was to be put on a boat and shipped over, and I was supposed to receive the rest of that production run in like end of March, 1st of April that spring. I didn't get them until the end of August.
Yeah.
Because they were on a boat literally for months just circling the port because there was nobody there to unload them.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, there wasn't anything I could do about it, you know, but you had all that money invested and it's literally just sitting there. So you're just buying time at that point.
Yeah.
And that's got to be so frustrating, knowing all the hard work that you put into it for 2 years leading up to this. You've already pre-sold some, so you're committed to the customers that already believe in you, and you can't do anything except sit there and watch a boat out in the ocean to be able to just circle the port without anybody there to to unload it. I bet you were.
That's like, hey man, I've operated bulldozers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'll come operate that crane. I don't know how. I'll figure it out.
I was about to say
this thing unloaded.
and I know you got some buddies that know how to operate some equipment as well too.
That's
so,
exactly right.
and drive trucks and whatever
Yeah.
else is needed. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
We'll hook
awesome.
the trailer
man.
up to the truck. Let's go.
That's right, man. So you talk about some of the challenges, Drew, that you faced.
Right.
Not only developing it but getting it in. You've achieved some milestones as well too, and some achievements. Can you talk about some of the rewards that you've seen since you've come out with this vest now?
Yeah. So I would say the biggest achievement is just seeing the overall impact that it's had on people.
Yeah.
We haven't done many trade shows. We like I said, do everything direct to consumer online. So there is only so much interaction that you get with the consumer and the end
Right.
user. But going to these trade shows, to me, that's the most exciting thing because you get to talk to people,
Mm-hmm.
they get to put it on. Or now, since we've been, in the industry for a couple of years, you hear those success stories.
Yeah.
And really, that's the achievement right there.
Yeah.
Is adding value to people's lives by this product or through this product and impacting their hunt and the way that they hunt
Yeah.
and the way that they utilize a vest.
Right.
When those people come back and they're like, hey, I bought this last year. This is what happened. Oh, by the way, here's my buddy. Now he's just bought one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's humbling, man.
It is.
When you go to these trade shows and you see a bunch of people as you're walking around that have a grounded hat on or have the vest with them in hand because they just bought it. That's the most rewarding part of the
Yeah.
whole thing.
That's cool, man, because I remember when you first brought the vest over to my house in the summertime.
Oh,
I
yeah.
forget when it was. This was probably 2019. Maybe it was 2020. I can't remember. But you brought it into the house, and I didn't even know you were working on it, right? So you kept it hush-hush.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And it needed to be on a hush-hush
Yep.
basis. But when you brought it in, I remember sitting there thinking, I was like, man, this vest is actually legit. It is really cool. The layout on it was really cool. And I had already been hunting for several years. I've run a bunch of different vests, and just being able to see the layout on it, how the pockets were structured, the fit on it as well, too, was really cool. And then the seat, that was something I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And I've kind of changed my style of hunting over the years where I used to stay posted up on a tree a lot longer. And that was one of the battles I always faced was being able to stay comfortable during that. And then when I saw that seat that was on there, I was like, this is a game changer right here.
Yeah.
And then we were able to sample it in that fall and spring, and it was really cool. But, yeah, man, it was from an outside in, I've been able to be on this journey with you for several years now. And you talk about being at the trade shows and seeing your dream, your vision that God placed in your heart, and to see it actually on the backs of people and having good customer feedback on it as well too. That's very humbling, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, man. So I could see where that would definitely be very rewarding for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say I joined the team and stuff, and got connected with you guys in 21, and so I'm the newest into this, but man, having done NWTF now 2 years in a row, that's my favorite. It's when I'm walking around the convention center and stuff, and I see someone carrying it. I remember last year I walked out to go use the restroom right outside the exhibit hall, and there was this guy sitting up. If you've been to NWTF, you know where I'm talking about, but it's right by the restrooms where there's that concrete wall, and this guy has a group of friends huddled around him, and he pulls the vest out of the bag, and you can tell it's ours because it comes in a little black cinch bag with the Grounded logo on it, and he's showing everyone the pockets and everything like that. He's like, look, you can even fit a bladder back here, and all this other stuff, and it's really cool. I think I've had some entrepreneurial phases in my life where I really want to go do something, and it's cool to see that, but I've never seen it in a way that is almost direct. I get a photo on Instagram or something like that, but with you, it's so cool. It's so neat to just see your vision come to life, and people are just loving it and coming in and NWTF and stuff. So it's really neat. Yeah, it's really, really cool. But one of the things too that I want to talk about is you are a very value oriented person. I think we all share that. And so talk to me about like how are some of your values shaping Grounded today?
Yeah, so it started with the name, really, the name Grounded, and that was the biggest part about it. I wanted something that I could help to leave a better legacy with, right? And that starts the biggest way to leave a legacy that people will remember is by impacting their lives for the better. And the best way that we can impact somebody's life is if they don't know Christ, getting them that relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
Helping them to understand who he is and how much he loves them and wants to have a relationship with them. It's not a rules based religion. It's a relationship religion.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. So that's number one for Grounded is just, hey, like we're going to base everything that we do off of our faith in Christ. And then we're going to look at the legacy that we're leaving. That's why a portion of our proceeds go to conservation because we want to leave it better for the people that come behind us. And then as far as our gear goes, we want to be known for having the highest quality turkey hunting apparel on the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of our, core values, pillars to the company, whatever you want to call them, is, hey, number one is going to be our faith in Christ. And, we want to make sure that you have that as well. And then number two is our legacy. And then number three is our high quality gear.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And I think that's apparent, in everything that we do, even when we go out to shows or interacting with customers. Cause like, we have the opportunity when we do go out to these shows where, we get to interact with these customers and man, we get to take that feedback and everything. And it's so nice to just be able to sit and interact. So, if you're at NWTF or the Dixie Deer Classic, we'll be there as well this year. So if you're there, man, come see us, come talk to us. Cause we want to have a conversation with you. We want to get to meet you and stuff like that. So,
and I'll say it too, from a personal standpoint, and then also from a business or gear standpoint, like we're at the end of the day, we're all human here.
Yeah.
Like we failed just like you failed. Just like earlier I was talking about, like, hey, like this was fearful to me to start this. Like I wasn't sure if I could do this. I'm still, to be honest, there are still days that I have that feeling inside. And I have that thought inside. It's like, why am I doing this? I shouldn't be the one doing this. I am not called, or I'm not qualified to be doing this.
Right.
And then also from a business standpoint, like I'm not going to sit here and say like our gear is the best gear on the market because everybody has different preferences and, every vest may fit them a little bit different. Now we have a great addition to the market.
Yeah.
But if you have good ideas or you have ideas and you want to share them with us, by all means, like we love customer feedback. And at the end of the day, that's how, the end user gets a better product. We want that feedback.
Yep.
And that's why we changed some of the things that we changed on our 2.0 vest was the feedback that we got from our users.
Right. You talk about Grounded is not the only company that sells hunting apparel geared towards a turkey hunter.
Right.
But one of our things is we want to be pretty innovative when it comes to that, right?
That's right.
So how are we being able to do that?
Yeah, so the biggest way, honestly, is just customer feedback, man. Just understanding what it is that you guys want. Mm-hmm. That's how this started. It was, hey, I kind of want something different.
Right.
And then talking to other people and just, doing some research on some forums and things like that. It's like, hey, I want something that's really just kind of designed with two main pockets that house most of my gear.
Right.
That way it's just easy to access and I know where it's at.
Yep.
Yeah.
So number one is customer feedback is how we really keep changing and keep growing. And then number two is, we're constantly trying to understand and learn about the newest fabrics and things like that we can utilize.
Yeah.
And so that's another way that we stay innovative because fabrics are always changing.
They really are. Yeah.
And so understanding what's extremely durable. But with turkey hunters, we got to be quiet.
You got to be quiet. Got to be durable.
Yeah. And so those two things are honestly extremely hard to come by.
Yeah.
Durable and quiet.
Absolutely.
You would be surprised how hard it is to find a material that can do that.
Right. There's not many on the market right now.
No.
So maybe we should develop one.
That's right. That's right.
So so I want to hit on it too because we've kind of alluded to it. So we came out with the 1.0, Right. And then we changed some things for the 2.0. And we've gotten some comments already, like on our TikTok and stuff, of people who are excited to go to see us at NWTF this year because we've got the 2.0. Can you talk about some of the changes that someone who may have not seen the 1.0 or maybe who have the 1.0 and they might be interested in a 2.0? Can you talk about some of those changes?
Yeah, so there's really only a couple changes. The layout of the vest is the same. The pockets are in the same place or the same sizes. The biggest changes are, number one, on our shoulder straps, we have anchored buckles that sit on your chest, okay? And you can unclip straight from those buckles.
Yep.
And so we had some customer feedback that said, hey, for a left-handed shooter, I can't shoulder my gun as well. And so we decided to opt out of the anchor buckles and go to just an inline buckle that's down on the webbing of the vest. And we also changed that to a locking buckle. So you don't have to worry about your vest sliding through time, the webbing sliding, and then the sizing of the vest, is different than you would like it to be. So we changed from the anchored buckle to the locking buckle. That's one of the changes. And then really the second change, the only other change on it, is the seat on the back. Instead of having 2 stitch points on the seat, we had 2 pieces of webbing stitched to the seat on the very bottom of it, and that's how it stayed connected to the vest itself. We took out those 2 stitch points and ran the webbing through the seat itself. So at the end of the day, it eliminated those 2 stitch points and made the seat way more durable long term.
Yeah.
So again, that's the idea, like with everything that we do, is quality. And 2 stitch points may not seem like a lot to most people, but every single stitch point that you can eliminate something in the future that could break.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 changes between the 1.0 and the 2.0. The magnet is the exact same. The layout's the exact same. The pocket design, measurements, everything is the exact same, other than the locking buckles on the front and then the seat cushion on the back and the webbing that's run through it versus stitched to the seat itself.
I'm glad you touched on that, because that's one of the, I guess that is probably one of the most asked questions that we get. What is the difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0?
Yeah.
And you just hit on that really well. But even with the 1.0, I mean, it's built just as well as the 2.0 vest is, right? So either one of them is going to get you what you want.
That's right.
In the woods.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about, like the past, how it got started and stuff, but what motivates you to continue growing and developing this business? And, if you could kind of give an outlook for the future, I mean, what does all that look like?
So I would say, like, one of the things that really motivates us to continue growing this company, number one, is that, like, we're called to excellence in all things that we do, right? Yep. And when you get complacent and you say, oh, well, I've made it, like, that's when you start to decline, right? That's when failure starts to happen. And, like, we're not called to that, So we continue to work every single day to provide more and better products for that reason, because that's what we're called to. That's what God calls us to. And we're doing this unto Him, just like the Bible asks of us.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. And then where do I see kind of the future lay? The future, I'm not going to give any hints on product, man. I know that's what you're getting at.
Hey, man, I'm just, trying to give the people something to look forward to.
Just know that we're coming out with some new stuff this year.
That's right.
Probably not going to be a vest. So that's the only hint I'll give you.
Now, hold on. There's one more I think you can give. They might be able to see it.
Maybe.
You come to NWTF, you might be able to see it.
I think they'll be able to get some glimpses of it before NWTF.
You think so?
Yeah. Or the Ditsy Deer Classic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll drop some hints on socials and stuff beforehand. But I know that's what you're hinting at. I'm not giving too many hints on this, man.
You guys, I tried pushing them.
I think we're 44 days away from Nashville right now, from NWTF convention. So it's really not that long, guys. It's really not. Like, come on.
I know, but it's exciting, man.
It is.
It'll be here before you know it.
It will be. I mean, we flipped the calendar on a new year today.
Yep.
And that means busy season for us.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Right.
I mean, not much sleep coming up.
I know.
We got orders that are going out.
Trips to UPS, baby.
Trips to UPS. Woo! That's right. We need to figure out a way to get UPS to come to us.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Brandon sent this beautiful message out to the three of us and our wives and was like, hey, thank y'all so much for what you do. Y'all get prepared because we're about to be real busy.
Well, it's important that we go ahead and start planting seeds into our marriage right now.
yeah.
We have some very patient wives.
We sure do.
And we love them very much. And they don't get enough credit where credit is due, because once January rolls around, for about 4 or 5 months, they probably feel like single moms at some points throughout the season.
Yeah.
Selling season and turkey season. So shout out to all the wives out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to have them come on here and just give their testimony about what it's like to be married to a turkey hunter during turkey season.
Yeah.
It might be a future episode.
Yeah, it might be. One day you're just going to tune in and you'll just see our wives up here instead of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, this has been episode number 2 of the Grounded Podcast. So I just want to thank y'all for joining in. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, or if you're watching on YouTube, we do have a YouTube version as well. Y'all can catch us at the Grounded Brand Podcast on all those platforms. And also on social, you can find us at Grounded Brand Outdoors. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So be sure to check us out. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.